Not understanding this about the golf grip can totally destroy your golf game. Hi everyone, my name's James Robinson. Welcome back to Get Good at Golf. On this channel we aim to help you get good at golf Monday right through to Friday. Guys, if you want bonus content, if you want meetups, if you want extra giveaways, make sure you check out our new membership at Sunday Club. That is in the link in the description below. Go and check it out if you want to be part of that. But today we are discussing how not understanding how the golf grip works can totally destroy your golf game. You see, whenever we read up on the golf grip, whenever we get asked how we grip it, there's always two answers. Either grip it strong or grip it weak. You may grip it neutrally, so there's actually three answers. But you need to understand how you release the golf club in order to understand how you should grip the golf club. You see, so often people say, okay, if I'm a right-handed golfer, I want a V in between my forefinger and my thumb. That should point at my right shoulder, and then the V in my forefinger and right thumb in the right hand should also do that. Now, that's okay for a neutral grip, but the problem with that is if you then go to the top of the backswing and you have, say, a cupping in your wrist at impact, which some people do have, that tends to add loft to the club, that's going to go left. If you go to the top of the backswing, come down to hit the ball and you have a bow in the left wrist at impact, which again, a lot of golfers do, that de-lofts the club, but it points right. So what we need to do is have an understanding of what our wrists do throughout the golf swing so that we can cater our grip to that so we can hit more consistent golf shots. You'll notice there how I've not said straighter golf shots because not everyone wants to hit straight golf shots. Not everyone can hit straight golf shots, but a consistent golf shot is where you can actually start to really improve your game. If you can consistently hit a 10, 15, 20 yard draw or a 10, 15, 20 yard fade, you know your start line, you know your finish line, you know where the ball's going to end up, and that's how you can play really good golf. So you see guys, if you do cup your wrists through impact, again, like I said, that adds loft. You're probably going to want to work on that a little bit. That's something which you're going to struggle to have a really consistent pattern through because you add loft, you're losing distance and you're losing control. So maybe look at that with your coach and say, how can I get my wrists to work a little bit better through the golf swing? If you do the opposite, if you bow your wrists through the golf swing, you're going to want a slightly stronger grip because that's going to allow the club face to square up at impact, even with a little bit of bowing. I really like to see people, especially with irons, have that little bit of bowing in the left wrist because it de-lofts the club a little bit. So I've got a 6-iron here, as you can see. That 6-iron has, for example, 30 degrees of loft on there. It might have a little bit more, but for sake of example, if I bow my wrist through impact and de-loft that slightly, I now have dynamically 25 degrees of loft at impact. So that 6-iron in effect is acting like a 5-iron. Yeah, it's still got the same shaft length, so I'm not going to have more club head speed. The ball speed is going to be similar, but it's going to be a more penetrating ball flight. It's going to go a little bit further and it's not going to get knocked around in the wind. So there's so many benefits there to have that with your irons. But the problem with that is say if you have a neutral grip and then you start to bow your wrist through the shot, you can see there that ball's actually gone over to the right. It was a good strike, but it's not gone where I want it to. So you need to understand how that grip can work. If I make the same golf swing, but I actually have my left hand a little bit more on top here, so I can see probably 2 knuckles, maybe 2.5 at a push. The key here is the club doesn't work into my palms of the hands. It stays in my fingers. And from there, I like a kind of neutral right hand, but slightly stronger left hand. I don't want to see that right hand tucked miles underneath. I don't want to see that forearm really bending under because that makes the club kind of get sucked inside a little bit. So I'm going to have a nice neutral right hand, a nice relaxed right elbow, but a stronger left hand. From there I can take the club away. I can make sure that club face is nice and square to my spine angle. And again, because that left hand is just a little bit stronger, I can feel like that left wrist starts to cup on the way through. And you can see there a lovely, more penetrating, straighter ball flight, which is a little bit easier to hit than potentially with a cupped right hand, fucking left hand, which is potentially easier to hit than having a cupped left hand and not being able to control the club face. Another thing we want to do with the grip, guys, and I've said this just a few moments ago, it needs to be in the fingers. If you get the grip in the palms of your hands here, this can have a huge detriment to your golf swing because you can't set the golf club. That's my effort of setting a golf club with the grip in my palms. I can't get my wrists to move properly to set it. that's going to hinder club head speed. It's going to then hinder ball speed. It's going to hinder distance. It's also going to hinder your strike as well, because you can't release that club as you want to through the shot. So if I have the club more in the fingers here, and Chris is going to show you a really good drill just towards the end of this video how to do this. This can save you so many shots, guys, honestly. It's quite a simple thing to do. I'll never say an easy thing to do, but it is pretty simple. Club in the fingers, like I said, slightly stronger left hand, and I can just set the club a lot more here. So the Golf Pride logo or the Lampkin logo is pointing at my chest. That's a much better position to be in than having it in the palms. From there I can load up to the top, I can get down the same positions on the way through, and again look at where that left wrist is if I reset that position at impact. Guys, that is how understanding the grip and how you release the club can massively help your golf game. Now Chris is going to show us all a little drill that you can do to help you do this with a lot more consistency.
So guys, all we need for this drill is a tee, I would hope, although James has just gone through his bag and found loads of snap tees.
St Andrews tee, that one.
Yeah, St Andrews links. I hope we have a full tee in your, well actually I've got you a present in the car.
Oh.
I've just remembered, a tee.
Oh, wonderful.
Right, so drill for this, back to the point, is we want to think about this takeaway and getting into that strong position. So again, if we bow the wrist, you'll see that if I bow my wrist forwards, the tee will be pretty level. And from there you can see I can't really do much twisting of the face, so we have a lot more stability in the club face. It's very hard for me to bend the wrist anymore if it is in a bow position. If I go to a cut position, you can see there can be a lot of rotation in those wrists. So if I am somebody who comes down and we have a lot of cupping, there's also
take your thigh out with it there.
There's also a lot of face rotation can happen, so we're not having stability of the face. If we work on feeling like we do get that little bit of bowed wrist and we feel like that tee actually works down and pointing at the ground, you'll see that that is a lot stronger position. That loft is coming in a little bit less, a little bit more dynamic. It's going to send it more forwards as opposed to going straight up into the air and being weaker. So we can use this both ways. So we can use this for your takeaway. We can start to see that as I take it away, that tee is almost pointing down towards the golf ball. If I start to get any kind of rotation of the club face, you'll see that tee will point up. So just doing this quick check, you can start to see what kind of things you are doing in your golf swing and why you might be misstriking your irons. So if we can then get from here, even if you feel like that's a comfortable position, once we work down, we want to feel like that is bowing and that is going to be pointing back down to the golf ball into the impact position or into delivery. And then from there, as I rotate through, again, it is still pointing down. It is not early release. So that's like when James talked about different release patterns. If you're somebody who early releases, that is going to be pointing up as we come into the golf ball. If we have a normal release, again, that's going to have us pointing where it is pretty level. And then if we get it bowed, if we're trying to do that, it's going to be actually pointing down. But you can still see I can return that club face forward. I can still return that with forward shaft lean and a square club face. But that all depends on your grip, like James mentioned. If we don't have the correct grip for that, if I try to bow my wrist and I fan that club open, we might return like that. And what shot are we going to hit, James?
A shank.
A shank.
The big thing that Chris is doing here is rotating his hips as well. If you don't rotate your hips through the shot here, there's no place for your hands to go, so then you're not going to hit the shot you want to hit. That's a huge factor of having this release.
And that's what we see a lot of people, the people who have an early release are very much people who lose their angles, and you'll see if you film yourself, you'll be very much in that kind of position.
Looks like you stood at a bar, just chilling.
And does that look a strong position to a golf ball? No, it doesn't. So we need to make sure that we stay in those angles. From there I can turn much easier and we can make a solid strike. So if I hit this one now, again I'm going to feel like I have a little bit of bow into the golf ball, and that's launched a lot lower.
Natural ball striker.
And had a little bit of a draw, so that's going to help me get the ball starting a little bit better online. It's also going to get me the desired flight I potentially want, and we're going to have a lot more stability in the face, so we're going to be able to get that ball going closer to where we want and help you get good at golf.